I'm 80 years old, and I need to tell you something I'm deeply ashamed of. For most of my adult life, I was jealous of my own son. Not proud of him, not happy for him, jealous. It took me until 80 years old to admit that to myself, and by the time I did, the damage was already done. My son is 52 now. We speak maybe 3 times a year, short calls, surface conversations. He lives across the country with his family, and I haven't met my youngest grandchild yet. People assume we had some big falling out, a fight, a betrayal. We didn't. What happened was worse. I spent his entire life resenting him for having what I never did, and he felt it, even if he couldn't name it. Children always know when their parents don't like them, even when the parent tries to hide it. I tried to hide it for 52 years. But resentment has a way of seeping through, in the tone of your voice, in what you don't say, in the praise you withhold. My son grew up wondering why nothing he did was ever good enough for me. The truth is, everything he did was too good, and I hated him for it. Let me go back. I grew up poor, real poor. My father worked in a mill. We lived in a 3-room house with 6 kids. I slept on the floor until I was 14. I was smart, though. Teachers told me I could go to college, be something. But my father needed me to work. So at 16, I dropped out of school and got a job at the same mill. I worked there for 38 years. I told myself it was temporary, that I'd go back to school eventually, that I'd become something more. I didn't. I got married at 22, had my son at 28, and every dream I'd ever had got buried under bills and responsibilities and the daily grind of just surviving. By the time I was 35, I'd accepted my life. I was a mill worker. That's all I'd ever be. And then my son started school. He was brilliant. I knew it immediately. Teachers said the same things about him they'd said about me. Smart, talented, could be anything he wanted. I should have been proud. Instead, I felt this knot in my chest, this anger, because he had something I didn't. He had a father who could afford to let him dream. I made sure he went to college, paid for it, worked overtime, took extra shifts. I did what my father couldn't do for me. But I resented every tuition check I wrote, not because of the money, because of what it represented. He got to go. I didn't. He got to become something. I didn't. He got the life that should have been mine. When he graduated with honors, everyone congratulated me, told me I must be so proud. I smiled, said all the right things. Inside, I was seething. He gave a speech at graduation, thanked me and his mother, said we'd given him everything. I should have felt gratitude, love, pride. I felt robbed, because I'd given him the opportunities I never got. And watching him succeed felt like watching someone live the life I was supposed to have. He got a good job right out of college, something in finance. Made more in his first year than I made in 5. People would ask me about him. "Your son's doing so well, isn't he?" I'd nod, say yes, he's doing great. But I'd never call to congratulate him, never ask about his work, never show interest in his life. Because every achievement of his felt like a reminder of my failure. When he was 30, he got married. Beautiful wedding. His wife came from a good family, educated, successful. During the reception, people kept coming up to me, telling me what a wonderful young man he was, what a great job I'd done raising him. I drank too much that night, gave a toast that was supposed to be heartfelt. I don't remember what I said exactly, but my son's face when I sat down, I'll never forget that look. Hurt, confused, like he'd been slapped. My wife told me later that I'd made the whole toast about myself, about how hard I'd worked, how much I'd sacrificed, how he owed everything to me. I didn't mention him once, didn't say I was proud, didn't say I loved him, just talked about me. He didn't speak to me for 6 months after that. When we finally reconciled, it was surface level, polite, distant. He stopped sharing his achievements with me, stopped calling to tell me about promotions or projects or anything good happening in his life. I told myself he'd gotten arrogant, that success had made him forget where he came from. But that wasn't it. He'd learned that sharing good news with me made me cold, distant, angry, so he stopped. By the time I was 60, retired from the mill, he was thriving. VP at his company, beautiful house, 3 kids, everything. And I was alone in a small apartment with a pension and bitterness. We'd see each other at holidays, he'd bring his family, his kids would call me grandpa, and I'd sit there feeling like an outsider in his life. Not because he excluded me, but because I'd spent 30 years pushing him away for having the audacity to succeed. When I was 70, my wife died. My son came to the funeral, stood next to me, put his hand on my shoulder, and for the first time in decades, I felt something other than resentment toward him. I felt grief, not just for my wife, but for all the years I'd wasted hating my own child for being exactly what I'd wanted him to be. After the funeral, we went to dinner, just the 2 of us. He asked me if I was okay, if I needed anything, and I almost told him the truth. Almost said, "I'm sorry, I've been jealous of you your whole life, and I don't know how to fix it." But I didn't. I said I was fine, that I'd be okay. He nodded, paid the check, drove me home. We haven't had a real conversation since. I'm 80 now, and I finally understand what I've done. I punished my son for having the life I wanted. I withheld love because he succeeded where I failed. I made his achievements about my failures, and I lost him. Not dramatically, not in one moment, but slowly, over decades, through thousands of small cruelties. Silences where there should have been praise, distance where there should have been warmth. He didn't need me to give him opportunities. He needed me to celebrate him when he seized them. And I couldn't do it, because celebrating him felt like mourning myself. I understand now that my son didn't steal my life. My father didn't steal it either, even though I blamed him for years. I gave it away. I chose bitterness over possibility. I chose resentment over change. I chose to stay stuck rather than fight for something different. And then I punished my son for not being stuck like me. Last month my son called, said he's been in therapy, working through some things. He asked me a question I wasn't expecting. He said, "Dad, did you ever actually like me?" I couldn't answer. The silence stretched so long, he finally said he had to go. Before he hung up, he said, "I just want you to know, I never wanted to hurt you. I don't even know what I did, but I'm sorry if I did something." He apologized to me for succeeding, for being happy, for having the life I'd given him the chance to have. And I couldn't tell him the truth, that he did nothing wrong, that it was all me. I just said, "You don't need to apologize." He said okay and hung up. I haven't heard from him since. I'm 80 years old and I'm running out of time to fix this, but I don't know how. How do you tell your son you've been jealous of him for 52 years? How do you explain that every time he succeeded, you felt like you failed? How do you apologize for withholding love from a child who deserved nothing but pride? I don't know if I can, but I need to tell you this in case you recognize yourself in my story. If you have children or anyone in your life who's succeeding in ways you didn't, pay attention to how you feel about it. If their achievements make you angry instead of proud, that's not about them, that's about you. And if you don't deal with it, you'll do what I did. You'll poison every relationship you have. You'll push away the people who love you. You'll turn your own regrets into weapons against people who've done nothing wrong. My son didn't take anything from me. He lived the life I was too afraid to fight for. And instead of being inspired by that, I resented him for it. I'm 80 years old, and my son doesn't call anymore. Not because he hates me, but because he finally accepted that I don't know how to love him. And I'm the only one to blame for that. I spent his whole life jealous of a child. My child. And now I'm old and alone, and the only thing I have left is regret. If you're feeling envy toward your kids, your siblings, your friends, toward anyone living a life you wish you had, please don't do what I did. Don't punish them for your choices. Don't make them pay for your regret. Deal with your own pain. Get help. Talk to someone. But don't destroy your relationships because you're angry at yourself. I did that. And now my son is 52 years old, and I don't know him. He doesn't know me. And whose fault is that? It's mine. All of it. I'm 80 years old, and I finally realized I was jealous of my own son. I just wish I'd realized it 50 years ago. Maybe then I'd have a relationship with him today. Maybe then he'd know that despite everything, I did love him. I just didn't know how to show it, because I was too busy hating him for being everything I wasn't. I'm sorry, son. If you ever see this, I'm sorry. You deserved better. You deserved a father who celebrated you. Instead, you got me. And I'm sorry.